Yes, welcome everyone here to the Smash Evening Show right here on Smash FM here on Lockdown Friday here in Melbourne. Of course, let's go across to our friends over in the US in particular and, of course, speak to a music artist. Of course, it's great to have her on the show. Of course, her name's Jessica Lynn that she joins us right now. Thanks, Jess, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. Well, tell us, obviously over there it's been a pretty unusual year like everywhere else around the world with COVID. What have you been doing to sort of, I guess, still have a chance to still perform?
It's been a very weird year. And sadly, this was going to be my biggest year of touring yet. We were 5 months on the road straight, starting in May, 11 countries, and it all got canceled. So it was very devastating for me. But again, I'm a big believer, turn into lemons into lemonade. And I just immediately turned to doing stuff online. A lot of live streams, a lot of different events, interviews, and things like that all over Zoom. Or I even did a Zoom photo shoot with a photographer in the UK. So it's been really interesting learning how to navigate this new world of the industry, but it's been also a lot of fun along the way to try to be creative and think out of the box.
You just mentioned about a Zoom photo shoot. How did that go? Because that's really unusual to have a Zoom photo shoot.
Yeah, apparently this photographer was trying to get photos of a bunch of different countries and cities and things like that. So it was very cool. He actually took the stills from all the Zoom interviews that he did. It really came out awesome.
Oh, okay. God, I never knew there was such thing as that.
Me either.
Now, you mentioned about the virtual performances, obviously the streaming performances that you've done. I guess, how did that all go? And were you worried that, I guess, considering that you couldn't do things in person, that, it was going to be a little bit more difficult?
I think the only thing that was very difficult in the beginning was one, learning how to get a good setup. Like the professional audio and video was really important to me. Because I'm the type of person that's like, do it 150% or don't do it at all. So that was a learning curve. And the strangest thing, funny enough, for me was having no audience. I'm so used to at the end of a song say thank you, or interact in some way. Is very strange that you finish a performance and it's just dead silence. Like it was very awkward to get used to. And then after a few, I got the hang of it and I learned to just kind of keep talking and, or say thank you in the comments. But that must have been, I think that was the strangest part for me.
Now, you mentioned that this was supposedly meant to be your biggest year in performing in person, obviously numerous countries. Was Australia on the itinerary?
We are working on it. We're hoping to get there in 2021. So I really, really hope. We've never been. I've heard incredible things. And I really would love to come really badly. So fingers crossed. If you can make that happen for me, I am all in.
Did you do any performances in person prior to COVID early in the year?
Yes, but we did one in March. Actually 3 days before the shutdown. We just got it in. And actually, it was a funny story. We sold out this venue. And it was a benefit for our women veterans, actually. So it was a really important show for me. We sold out the venue, which I was so excited about. We raised a ton of money, $3,000 for the charity. And we had a 60% no-show rate. And that's how I knew that this was really serious, because I really didn't have any inkling of what we were up against before that. Because I'm like, oh, we're doing a concert, like kind of heard little bits and pieces, but obviously not like everyone knows now.
Mm-hmm.
And we showed up that night and I couldn't believe it. The owner of the venue said, yeah, there's a 60% no-show rate. I guess people were afraid, with the stuff they were hearing. And that's actually, like I said, the time that I said, okay, maybe this is like really serious. And then in February, I got to open for one of my idols, Richard Marx. That was really awesome for me. And but really, we were set to do 80 shows from May to October. So really stinks.
Now, considering you can't do performances in person, and obviously with what's been happening with COVID and everything else that's gone on over there in the US, have you had a chance to sort of sit down and reassess what you want to do once COVID's over?
I think for me, it was kind of easy because we had so much that had been affected. It kind of wasn't a what's next, it's how do we fix what's now. So we've rescheduled our entire European tour of all 10 countries already to next year. So that's great that it wound up working out like that. I was so grateful. It was scary in the beginning because some were rescheduling, some were still holding on. It was like, oh my gosh, like, what are we going to do here? So once that happened, and then once we figure out what's going on in the US, we'll be able to reschedule that tour too. So it was kind of easy in a way that everything just got moved.
Now, tell us a bit about how you got involved in the music scene and why did you end up choosing music?
I have a musical family. So my dad is we're a family band. My dad is my bass guitarist. My mom is my background singer and my husband is my lead guitarist. So I grew up with music on in my house from the time I was very, very little. And I took classical piano lessons when I was a young kid, and I just always loved it. I knew it's what I wanted to do. There was never really a moment that I was like, I'm going to be a singer. I just always was a singer.
And what will be some music highlights or moments throughout your music journey so far?
Ooh, that's hard to say. There's been so many wonderful moments along the way, and everyone always asks me, "What's your favorite place to play?" You've played in so many countries. I think over 15 at this point, and I really can't say because every place is so different yet so wonderful in its own way. But for me, if I had to choose one moment, I got to open up, as I mentioned, for Richard Marx this February. And that was a very special show for me because he was my very first concert when I was 5 years old.
Ah,
And it was a very full circle type of feeling for me to have been that 5 year old kid, like waving in the stands, like so excited to be there and be at his concert and then to be standing next to him. It was like, I got emotional. I teared up backstage because it was like, wow, like all of these years of my life and all my hard work have led me to this really awesome moment. So that was a really special day.
I'm assuming you got a chance to meet him and have a photo with him. And did he give you any words of advice to you?
We more just kind of hung out backstage after the show, but he was super complimentary. It was really cool for my family to meet him. Being that again, they were like, "Oh my, we remember taking little Jessica to your show," and him and his crew were so nice to us, and just it was an amazing experience just all around.
Of course, the music city over in the US is Nashville, in Tennessee. Have you had a chance to perform over there in the music city?
Yes, I'm based in New York. I love New York. It's my home. I'm an Italian. I was born in Brooklyn, New York. I know not the most country of places, but yeah, New York will always be home for me with my bagels and my pizza and my iced coffee. But I do love Nashville, and I've done a lot in Nashville. I had a publishing deal there, so I was flying back and forth often to songwrite. I've played in Nashville. We've toured through there. A lot of friends in Nashville. I love Nashville. It's just so creative there. It's very inspiring.
Now, of course, you mentioned about the other place, New York. Is Madison Square Garden in your things that you would love to perform at?
That is definitely, as a New Yorker, my bucket list item. um, I've been lucky enough to actually get to sing the national anthem there twice. So I sang for March Madness basketball, and then I also sung the anthem for professional bull riding there.
Ah,
So it, as a New York, I guess I could say that it's checked off my list, but I mean, to do a concert would be the most incredible thing ever.
now you mentioned about singing the national anthem twice over at MSG. Tell us how special was that for you to perform in front of obviously amazing sporting fans that New Yorkers are.
It was incredible, but it was also the scariest moments. Sorry, my dog is like going crazy. I just, we rescued a side note. We rescued a dog recently, and once the pandemic hit, because we were home and I knew that my tour wasn't happening. We wanted to do something nice. So her name is Audrey, and she was actually found in Texas, just in an abandoned house with both of her back feet cut off and a spinal injury. So she was, I mean, God only knows what happened to her because she was alone when they found her, but she's very, very spoiled and she's running around the house playing with all her toys right now and making a lot of noise. She's very happy now. But anyway, Audrey, if you'd give me a minute to do this interview. She was just under the table. I don't know if you saw the table shaking. She was biting at my legs because she wanted to play. And I'm trying to keep a straight face and answer the question. So anyway, anyway, that actually is very funny. I'm glad I shared it instead of just standing here like this and she's playing with me under the table. But she so Madison Square Garden, speaking of animals, professional bull riding, it was the scariest thing of my life, and I actually never got stage fright again after that event because I'm a very patriotic person, so it was a very big deal for me, you know, to get to sing the national anthem at Madison Square Garden. So I was already really nervous about that, doing it justice. And I got to do a sound check during the day. So I didn't know. I thought I was all cute showing up in my cute little plaid dress for this event. I didn't know that it's an ice rink under the dirt. So it was freezing. And the whole time I'm shaking, which was adding to the nerves that I had. And then they're like, okay, we're going to do your sound check. So these cowboys come and they bring me to the middle of the ice. And they're like, okay, just so you know, don't get distracted, but we're going to be loading the bulls behind you while you're singing. So you're going to be hearing a lot of banging and grunting. Don't let it throw you off. Oh, okay. Of course not. And really that night behind me, you're hearing the grunting, you're hearing them banging on the thing, and you just got to stand there and sing like nothing's happening. So I never got stage fright again because it was such a high pressure, just intense moment that nothing ever seemed as scary ever after that.
Tell us, what does the music industry mean to you now?
The music industry for me, wow, that's a great question. It's home. I've never known anything aside from doing music. I started my first band when I was 13 years old and was playing professionally, like in all the New York City nightclubs, writing my own music, and I'm doing singer-songwriter nights. And so it's just, it's everything to me, which is really sad too, to see just the live music venues, you know, devastated by this pandemic. And it's a really rough time for everybody. But if we all stick together, you know, I definitely think we can make it through.
And we mentioned about before about recessing goals and all that. Have you got like a long-term goal that you want to achieve?
My long-term, well, one goal that I'm able to achieve, in the past, I've only had live albums that were full-length albums that went along with my television specials that aired here in America. And I've released EPs, I've released singles, I've never released a full-length album. So because the pandemic took away all of my touring, we were supposed to release to go away this year an EP that was only 6 or 7 songs. And when the touring got canceled, I was able to make it a full-length album. So I've also been in my home studio recording all of this, which has been wonderful for me. But my goals are to only get better and bigger than the year before. I feel like the music industry is so ever changing, and There's so much to do and experience that when you set such a hard goal for yourself, like I need to have a top 5 song next year, the likelihood of you getting disappointed is so high because who knows what's going to happen next year or where you're going to be. If you ever told me I'd be touring Poland playing country music, I never in a million years would have thought that was true. So,
Yeah.
it's, I like to just say, as long as my tours are better than the year before, my music does better than the last release, as long as everything is consistently growing, that is my ultimate long-term goal.
And what would be your advice to our listeners here in Australia that should get involved in music?
Oh, I do a lot of mentoring with young kids and with music programs and things like that, that help bring music to people that maybe wouldn't have otherwise been able to experience it. And for me, if you're looking into getting into music, if it's anything in life, if you're passionate about it, do it. And never let anybody tell you that you can't, because you have one life. You want to be happy. You want to wake up every day with a smile on your face and be like, I love what I am doing. And that is more important than any money, any success in the world. It really, really is. So just go after it. If you want to do it, it's hard work. It's a lot of practice. Nothing comes overnight. But if you're really driven and passionate about it, you can make all your dreams come true.
Of course, let's finish on with a couple of lighthearted questions, which is any embarrassing moments on stage?
Oh God, so many. I've had my shirt fall down before. Thank God I had something under it, so it wasn't too bad. One of I've had my hair. I have a lot of hair, and we do a quick change. We end my shows with Johnny Be Good, Chuck Berry, and we're all multi-instrumentalists in the band. So we all round robin switch instruments. So like I wind up on the drums and someone else on the guitar and vice versa. So it's a very fast thing where you got to take your guitar off, and my hair got caught in the guitar. So we're trying to switch instruments and it's like this on stage. And that was very embarrassing. And of course it's on YouTube. If you look up London, me and playing Johnny Be Good, you'll see my hair get caught. I've cut myself open on stage. One experience was I had this awesome bracelet that was this cuff with these big fringes that hung off it and little arrows, like super cool turquoise arrows that were all dangling on the fringe. And during this live in France, I'm going like this and I'm clapping my hands and the fringe flew up and I clapped and I impaled myself on one of the arrows. And I felt like something at the time, but I didn't think, and I'm still singing. And this was like in the first quarter of the show. So I still had like a good hour and a half to go. And I just see blood dripping down my arm, like really badly.
No.
And it's all over the microphone. And I had to just keep singing. And nobody spoke English, none of the stagehands. So I couldn't ask them to get me like a Band-Aid, or I didn't know how to say Band-Aid in French or like a help. So I'm just bleeding and bleeding, bleeding. And finally, my mom actually had a tissue in her purse. So she ran over and I played the entire show like this with the tissue, holding the microphone, keeping pressure on the wound. That was a little embarrassing being covered in blood, but I kept going on.
Now, do you ever forget your words to a lyric?
That's my biggest fear on stage. And yes, I have. And I just go and just keep singing. Because you know what? The most part, nobody ever knows. They're having a good time. If you look like, oh no, that's when they know. If you just pretend like you don't. I mean, sometimes you even just get caught up, like you see somebody doing something in the crowd and you think about it and then you're like, oh my gosh, where am I in the song? But so yes, I do forget my words.
Now, of course, I have to ask this next question, which is, you mentioned about traveling overseas and doing all your performances over there. Is there any point that you actually, when you introduce yourself and introduce your fans to your performances, that you actually forget the location that you're in?
Yes. I learn for example, some of our touring is like really crazy. I think it was 2 years ago we played France, Germany, and Italy 3 days in a row. And I learn just as like a thank you to the culture and the people in each place. I always learn some phrases in each language. So like for example, French, German, and Italian, I could say, "Hi, my name is Jessica Lynn. I'm very happy to be here." So I started speaking French in Germany because I forgot. I just got so confused with where we were. I was like, "Whoops, sorry." Je suis désolé. I'm in Germany. And I kept going. So yes, it happens.
Of course, I've got to finish up with this one last one, which is for everyone here in Australia that should follow your music on social and in the music channels. How can I go about it, Jess?
My website is jessicalynmusic.org, and all of my social media channels you can find. They're verified Jessica Lynn Music. And also on Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff. And my new single, Now or Never, just came out, which I'm really excited about. It shattered my streaming record so far for all of my other songs. So that was very exciting for me. And the music video comes out July 31st.
And well, you actually, Marshall finished off with that last one, of course, Now or Never. Tell us, how did that come about? How did you, without giving too much away, tell us what's the song about? Or the EP
The song
about?
is about young love, like that feeling of just like, I mean, everyone remembers your first love and like how just exciting every moment was. And you'd go on these adventures together, and maybe you snuck out of your house, like at night to go see each other or something like that. And the song's really about that. It's like, it's now or never, like, let's do this together. And even the music video, it's, without giving too much away because that's not out yet. The song is out already, you can hear it, but it's very nostalgic. It's the first music video I ever had actors in to do a subplot, and it's two young kids that are going on this first date at this really cool place. So I'm really excited about it.
Well, Jess, it's awesome having you on the show. Hopefully we get to meet each other in person when I'm either over there in the US or you come over here to Australia. And hopefully we'll get a lot of our fans down here in Australia to continue to listen to your music, and especially your EP coming out. Of course, your EP is already out, Now or Never. And of course, we'll make sure we'll get people to watch your music video, which will come out next week.
Yeah, thank you so much. I had such a good time. I'm sorry about the dog. It added excitement into the interview. What would you have done if she like pulled me under the table? Imagine like I just go disappearing.
I don't know.
This is fun.
That's Jessica Lynn there joining us. Of course, make sure you check her new music video, because that's next week, of course, Friday the 31st of July, and of course, which is obviously here in Australia, Saturday the 1st of August, and of course, we'll put all the details on our socials on how you can go about watching her music there. There's more on the Smash Evening Show right after this here on Lockdown Friday.